Welcome, welcome, one and all, to another episode here of Cut Ups on Maize and Blue Review. My name's Stephen Osentoski at Stephen Toski on Twitter. I refuse to call it X, bringing you the football analysis of Michigan's dominant win, I would call it, against the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. It was a cold night in Minneapolis, but a lovely game. I made the trip out to Minneapolis. It was lovely time, great city, and lots of great film to break down here. As we let people trickle in here, it is solo, just me, no Trevor. So I'm going to rely on you guys in the comments. So as I analyze these plays, leave a comment on your thoughts, any questions, anything that you noticed for a given play. Because, hey, no one's perfect except for Michigan football, apparently. Am I right? That was a bad joke. But yeah, no Trevor tonight. Hopefully, on part two, we'll be able to bring him back in. But lots to analyze from this game. My general take is Mason Graham is playing like an All-American already, right? First came back with a club on his hand after I believe he had hand surgery, right? So phenomenal to have him back in the lineup, and he asserted himself, had one of the better games of a defensive lineman in recent history. I felt like Josiah Stewart came on a bunch. This was one of the few games where I feel like a team actually established the run relatively well, but only to the tune of, I think they only got just over 100 yards total, Minnesota did. And Michigan was dominant in the pass defense as well. Offense went extremely well. I would say there were a couple drops, which is very, very odd to see from this offense. Feel like Donovan Edwards continues to improve. Blake Corum is still showing that there's a lot to love out of his game, as always. So very efficient day all around, and Michigan got off to a really, really hot start right away. So let me shift the screen here. I don't know why the screen recording had the Michigan lottery numbers up, so this will only appear for the first play here. But actually, let me make sure that you guys will have the audio. So let me actually make sure I'm presenting. When I present screen, share screen, entire screen. There we go. I need to share the audio as well. Here we go. And we should be all good. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Let's test the colors as we like to do. Should we do white or maize? Let's do maize for Michigan. See this maroon, dark red. That works for Minnesota. Drink Duff. What up, Totsky? Might be hard to find any nitpicks in this one. I think you're right there, Drink Duff. Shadyville, Mason Graham good at football. That he is. Adam Shepperson, go blue, and a go blue from Shadyville as well. If you're not watching this live, leave a comment as well later on. I like to respond to one in every comment that I see. All right, let's get going. Second play from the defense here for Michigan. Here we go. If it ever wants to start. There we go.
In the entire country, he has been outstanding to start his career. Second and 10. Fake the handoff. And Manis is going to throw a pick. All the way in. Touchdown, Will Johnson.
And that's how you start a game, right? I mean, I wanted to actually go back for the analysis of this to check how Minnesota likes to start their games, right? What sort of passes they like to get their quarterback comfortable with, right? This is a simple gotcha moment, right? Where it initially seems like some form of man, right? Or at least that Will Johnson is backing up, right? It looks like he's going deep here. He's going deep. So it doesn't seem like he's going to be covering the flat, right? With the initial motion here, and you watch the eyes of Manis, and he's reading through this, right? So by the time he's deciding, hey, this out route's going to be there, right? This coverage is something that Michigan really lined up well. So this has to be a scouting win of they like this route combination. We're going to go out in this coverage because they're just baiting, right? Michigan is just baiting this throw. And as soon as they thought that You had Will Johnson dropping out. Guess what? He's coming up here directly for this out route. It is not man-to-man coverage. He drops off of the wide receiver that's heading vertical, right? He comes off of that, and boom, pick six time, right? In the stats or on the there's a Twitter account that tracks the overall speed of players across college football, and to give reference of that, I think Blake Corum's top speed that he had in this game was 22 miles per hour. Will Johnson casually hits 20 miles per hour on this. And I doubt this is full speed, right? It looks like he's just kind of loping and he hit 20 miles an hour. So obviously former 5-star athlete. He's a player, spent a little bit of time getting healthy here. Here's a great view of him dropping back into coverage. And again, look at the eyes. The eyes tell you the story on more plays than not, right? His eyes are in the backfield. This is all about timing, right? Because if you crash too early on this out route, right, the quarterback's going to be able to see that he's breaking this way. So at the time that the quarterback decides, all my tools are messed up. If he decides to break down on this out route too early, quarterback's going to be dissuaded from throwing that, right? But everything that you've seen thus far from Will Johnson gives you the thought that he is covering this deep, right? That he's going to be taken away from this area of the field and that this out route is going to be there, right? Obviously, it's a trap, right? Because of the eyes, because Michigan is disguising their coverage well here. So really good job from him timing this perfectly and taking a great route, right? No one expects it, and boom, touchdown. So really good job here. Not a whole lot of pressure, but it is a quick throw, right? It's a quick out. That's the first read. You can really see the timing of this pretty well, right? At the time of that throw, you can see that's when Will Johnson starts to come down on that, right? Will Johnson, right about now, as the quarterback has already committed to that throw, that's when he adjusts and breaks on that out route. So just good job keeping your eyes into the backfield and jumping it at the perfect time here. Then you got to throw in Jim Harbaugh getting in on the the team photo here. I thought that was hilarious. Had to include that. It's just funny, man. That was hilarious. What a way to start the game. Here we go. McGregor was going to pressure QB on this play. I don't think he was. I don't think pressure was really getting there. Oh, Mason Graham was kind of getting around here, but not too aggressively here. Account 22 says cut up of OSU offensive line tomorrow. We'll see, man. 1.9 yards per carry against Maryland, right? Okay. Here we go. 2nd and 3. And I think this is where we'll start. There'll definitely be a lot of defense analysis against the run game in this one.
Defense. Back to the ground. First down and more. Finally.
So what made Minnesota successful, right? Why was their running game successful and why did it get shut down later on? The motion that you see out of number 4 here, this is really meant to stretch out the offense. So this is meant to carry out some of the linebackers and really put a lot of stress on the defensive line. Michigan likes to put a ton on their offensive line where your edges are protected from your edge players. Jalen Harrell here. I think this is Braden McGregor, right? These guys are responsible. Nothing gets outside. And then you really stress a lot out of Mason Graham and Chris Jenkins here. These guys are dedicated for shutting down the run, right? That they're committing these bodies, and that should free up your linebackers to bite less on play action and to accommodate the pass game, shut down the pass game, get in their zones a little bit better without having to crash down to shut down running lanes. So that's what Michigan really likes to do. They put a lot on their defensive line. And outside stretch here, which is Minnesota's bread and butter here, really stretches, that's a pun intended, outside stretches the defense. It puts a ton on your defensive line because it takes away the strength, right? If you're running power football here, you're going to lose that battle if you're Minnesota's offensive line. But as you work horizontally, right? And when I say horizontally, that means work number 4 horizontally here. When you're bringing your tight ends across here, you're really stretching out the edge players, right? The edge player is still here. Look where the offensive line is moving, right? And then look at all of the gaps that start forming here because of how much movement and how much space is created between the defensive line, right? So if it's traditionally power where you won't get as much movement, a stretch offense is designated on, it necessitates the horizontal movement here, and it's diminishing the power of a backside edge player, and you create a lot of potential cutback lanes. You create a lot of space by forcing the defensive line to move horizontally with you, and you're less likely to lose those one-on-one battles from a pure strength standpoint. So you can see, just by nature of moving here, this is a really difficult job for your defensive line to close that, right? Look at what Chris Jenkins is trying to do here, right? He's trying to follow behind here and get down the line, but you also have another offensive lineman here for Minnesota who's able to scoop, right? You're turning the shoulders of all of your defensive linemen to try to flow with the play, right? How often do you actually see Michigan's defensive line running horizontally, right? You always want to be square this way, but the movement, you're resetting where this offensive line is going because the primary motion initially is horizontally, and that's going to naturally open up gaps because you force the defensive line to move with you, and your linebackers have a lot on their plate adjusting to the motion as well, right? So even look at the safety level to this motion, right? You're saying get outside, get outside. As this tight end comes across, right, that's going to mess with the key here, because what if he comes out for a pass, right? So you're stressing this as well. So you're doing a lot to mess with the keys of the second level to get them to react outward to this sort of motion. Same with your safeties, right? You're getting a lot of outward motion. And then look at what happens to your edge defender, right? He's Jalen Harrell is no longer useful here. They're not really useful. And all of your defensive linemen, what is Chris Jenkins' main advantage? His strength, right? It's going to be hard to really utilize that strength when you're trying like hell to work down the line of scrimmage. So it's a clever plan, right? It's clever because Michigan likes to put a lot on their interior defensive line, use their edge players to shut down anything to the outside. But a lot of the motion that we see here stresses a lot of the horizontal movement in the pass respect that the linebackers usually give. And that's going to open up a lot of running lanes up the middle. And that's what we saw here, right? Maybe a little bit of a hold. We have a better view of this from another angle I'll get at. Maybe Mason Graham did get held a little bit, but at a certain point, the defensive line needs to stop moving with the offensive line, right? We'll look at this end zone level here, but it's tough for Chris Jenkins to have any sort of impact, right? Because he's trying to work down the line of scrimmage. This is where the play wants to get, right? But he has 75 trying to work out to the second level. And then this tackle who just wants to scoop him, right? So Chris Jenkins is trying, but that's good block. It's essentially a double team where that creates a big gap. And then you also need Junior Colson. He has to respect a couple different holes here, right? In reality, you have the outside here for Brain McGregor. You have this play side B gap for Mason Graham. I do think this is a little bit of an overplay here for Junior Colson. He is responsible for this gap right here, right? But he also recognizes he has this offensive lineman who's coming out to block him, and he needs to stand up that block and determine which path this running back is going, right? So there's just a lot of space, a lot of stress that the offensive line in stretch is attempting to do here and putting on that second level and the defensive line. So again, is this a little bit of a hold on Mason Graham to restrict him from getting back into the play? Yeah, definitely. But the good scoop on Chris Jenkins. right? Chris Jenkins is getting held up here. This is a free release out to the linebacker. And that's a big hole, right? And that's just created by essentially resetting where the play is going, right? And that's what stretch will do for you. You can work horizontally to get a lot of space, and you take away the power of that interior defensive line because you're forcing that defensive line to move horizontally with you in reaction to that play. So it's you're just resetting that offensive line and where the play is going, and then you're stressing the pass play and taking out the second level with a simple pull from your tight end. Watch the reaction here of Michael Barrett to this, right? Because he has to respect the pass. He's going to take himself out of this play, right? So if there is any sort of cutback lane here, that's because your linebacker is respecting that tight end who may go out on a passing route, right? That's the fake of the quarterback. You can see the quarterback do a little rollout here, and that's because your tight end can come across here. That's Barrett's man, right? So that's what he's respecting. Well, look at all that space, right? Michigan had responses to this, and I'm spending a little bit more time on this than I usually do because this is the whole approach that Minnesota was taking. They realized that they're not as strong as Michigan on the line, right? You're just not going to be. But this is how teams can gain an advantage of, hey, if you're not strong, how fast are you, right? What is your response? If you don't want to be super aggressive with your linebackers, if you want to wait, right, and respect our passing game, guess what? We got winning numbers, right? How many guys are you actually blocking here for Michigan? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 bodies being blocked. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 against 4, right? You're going to find a gap. So Michigan did adjust for this, but that's the primary reason that we saw a lot of success early on for Minnesota. It was a good plan. It was a good running scheme. All right, let's move forward here. Back on the offense, Michigan able to get the ball back here. No damage done. 7-0, third and short.
Spectacular. Let's see what they do on 3rd and 1. They're going to hand it off. They didn't get it. Mullings is.
So this one, am I super mad about it? Let's shift to the overhead view for this play. Not super mad about it. I would say the primary directive that needs to be given for Khalil Mullings here is, and he's usually been really good at this, is when you see a body down like this, right? When you see a body down like this, because your eyes need to work sort of inside out on this, right? To try to find just like a little crease. So I think he did see probably this crease, and that's where he's trying to go. But when you see a body like this down on the ground, it's going to be impossible for your offensive line to get any push. And you need to treat this really like it is just a goal line play, right? And if the defensive line wants to tunnel like that, right? Helmet at the ankles, whatever you want to call that, the best path is over, right? Jump over it. And that's essentially what Blake Corum did later in this game on a goal line play. But I do think it was probably a little bit of a misplay from your left tackle to not at least pick this up initially, because this is too direct of a path, in my opinion, into the backfield. But it's good alignment, right? He's just wide enough to take a good path here to get a pretty solid hit on Mullings. So I can understand, right? Really what you're trying to do is just get enough of a push and barrel your way in here. But because these guys are tunneling, right, that gives enough time for this guy to get around into that end. So I can understand it, right? I can understand the approach. I think there just needs to be a response to, hey, the approach here is just to jump over it, right? Just to jump over the pile, because you do see a little bit of hesitancy, not a lot for Khalil Mullings, but he needs to take this handoff fast, right? And there's a difference between taking a handoff regularly and taking a handoff fast. I feel like Blake Corum does an excellent job of taking a handoff really quick in this situation. And you don't see, like, there's no need for this little hop step that for Khalil Mullings right here, right? He's kind of shifting down to make a cut, when sometimes the best approach is just to catapult yourself through the line of scrimmage. So again, no defensive line, not every defensive line will tunnel like this. And I feel like Michigan did adjust their approach in these short yardage situations. But yeah, a little bit of a bummer. And I'm not sure if it's a pure read or not, right? Because it's always hard to tell what are live reads or not. It seems like this would be the read player. In general, I think JJ McCarthy probably wins that battle, right? If, as Shady Bill mentioned, too bad it wasn't a read, and we don't actually know. Um, but we'll see. Give credit for Minnesota for flying off the edge like that. I do think there was a possibility, right? If Khalil Mullings did take this full speed and dive, he still gets it. But the next play will show Michigan's adjustment to that now in, what is it, 4th and 1. So Michigan did have a response for it.
Play action. McCarthy can run. He'll just flip it. Mullings with space in front.
And I was nervous about this one, right? I feel like we haven't really seen Mullings catch the ball very often, right? But hey, if you want to bring your edge players down, right? Like if you want to bring your edge players flying down like this, guess what? This is the best path. So this is where having a really strong, big running back like this, he can fight through this contact well from number 12, right? It's not a lot, but at 6'1" or 6'2", 240, he's going to be able to fight through any contact out of the backfield, and that's a nice clean catch, right? That's a really good job. So give a lot of credit to Michigan, right? They saw Minnesota's approach of just not respecting the edge, right? Not respecting the edge, and you have to punish them for that. Same exact alignment, pretty much, right? Where you have, I think it's just a little bit slightly different. Where I believe it was Bredesen on the outside, not Colson Loveland, but same sort of look, right? Same sort of look where you're faking the handoff. But yeah, just a nice little speed out, well delivered ball, and nice catch, and get some extra yards there for Khalil Mullings to boot. So that was good reaction and a lot of trust, right? It's not necessarily an easy play. You need your running back running at full speed. You need a nice, accurate ball to catch that. Nathan, what happened to Benjamin Hall? Is he not playing because they are redshirting him? I'm not sure if they've come out and said that they are redshirting him explicitly, but I know he was fighting through injury earlier. So are they looking to keep a red shirt? Possibly. I don't think it's a bad idea. But I know he was at least injured at some point earlier in the season. But anyway, good job from Mullings picking that up. And I also like the route from Colson Loveland. If nothing else, you have to respect it if you're Minnesota, right? You have to follow that. So that just opens up the out quite a bit for Mullings because of Colson Loveland and the respect he necessitates on him heading up the seam like that. So really good job overall. Love the play design. So Michigan gets to continue their drive here, 1st and 10, and let's take a look.
Michigan's offense just wears you down. The run, the pass, they have no weaknesses, no cracks. And McCarthy will go back to the air, directing traffic, plenty of time. Across the field, gets it right back to A.J. Barner as tight end.
This is a cool play, not because it was super successful. I actually give a lot of credit for Minnesota for how they defended this. I think the other aspect of this play, Michigan, I've really loved their use of motion overall. I think sending motion here helps give them a sense of what sort of coverage they're in, right? And I'm not saying it's 100% correct here because this was a zone for Minnesota. But by sending this number 2 alongside Darius Clemens, I feel like Michigan is hoping this is man coverage, right? They're hoping that by number 2 following here, that this play will work based on the alignment and based on the coverage of number 2 following on that, right? You probably wouldn't see as close following in general if it's zone coverage, but I think Minnesota did a really good job of disguising that that they were in zone here. And the main thing that they're hoping, I feel like, is that someone is assigned to AJ Barner, right? In man-to-man coverage. That's what they're hoping, because by this little rollout, right, all of the other routes are headed across over, deeper on this right side of the field. And JJ McCarthy isn't really trying to point anywhere, right? He's just trying to get everyone to react that way. But Minnesota is smart about this, right? Respecting the zone. I feel like they probably saw some of the tight end slips that Michigan likes to do. But if you're in man coverage, right, it's really difficult to recognize this route late because of just watch Barner and how long he is on this block, right? He releases a good 5 seconds, 5 seconds after that play develops, and then he slips away. So by Minnesota being in his zone, right, they're there. They're there to limit this to only, what is that, a 5-yard, 6-yard pickup or so? That's a really good job. And that's about the actually a really good job from Barner picking up an extra couple of yards after contact. So it's really difficult for any defense to respect that, because, again, you need to either be in zone all the time, or you need a linebacker to be insanely disciplined on keeping your eyes in on the tight end who's in on pass blocking in case he slips out, right? So I'm a big fan of Michigan continuing to put this on film, to put the fear of God in defenses, right? Even though this didn't work, it threatens it, right? And you need your defense to look at what Minnesota has to do, right? Minnesota has to commit someone to the backside flat on this play that looks like they're sending 2 routes out deep, right? You need to commit resources to the backside flat on a rollout to the right in case of a tight end slip, right? So not every defense is going to be able to do that, or to correctly see that sort of potential in any given play, right? So Michigan is putting this on film to consistently make defenses account for every little thing and commit resources to locations they probably wouldn't want to, right? So you can see, even with the point, you can see the eyes here for JJ McCarthy. Eyes tell the story, right? But because of the zone defense here, it's a good play from Minnesota to limit this to 8 yards. But I love the play design just because, again, it'll pay dividends in the future for Michigan, or for opposing defenses. They'll just have to account for that, and that's annoying. It's annoying for defenses to have to consider a backside tight end leak play like that. All right, 3rd and 3. I think this is the first negative play for the offense that I've clipped here.
Mullings back in there. Johnson in motion. McCarthy to the air. It's dropped.
It's a bummer because Michigan had this, right? And again, I really like Michigan's use of motion here. They do a really good job of getting their wide receivers off of press coverage, right? This little motion here, look what that does. This little motion to stack behind Romo Wilson, that's going to force this guy to back up here, and that allows a much more free release, right? And getting free releases for your 2 wide receivers here is a really good recipe for success. And it's a really difficult route for anyone to cover, right? So it's a good job where Michigan realizes, with the safety over the top, right? You're just sending Romo Wilson vertical. He's going to follow him. You're essentially bracketing with his safety, and this guy is responsible for the flat, right? So this guy's responsible for the flat. You're sending Cornelius Johnson on like a 4-yard out or so. Good luck to this linebacker, right? It's a really difficult job. It's a quick throw. And you're likely looking at a touchdown here, right? If that's a clean ball, in stride, turn up the field, it really does look like a touchdown to me, right? I don't know how else you would look at that. So ball is a little low, right? A little low, but 99% of the time you expect your wide receiver to catch that ball. Announcer said it wasn't the best ball. I mean, I give that ball an 8 out of 10, right? Definitely could have been a little bit better, maybe a 7 out of 10, right? But you expect a collegiate wide receiver to be able to catch that ball 99 out of 100 times. You just do, right? So that's a bummer, right? Because that turns this into, what this play likely would have been at the very least first and goal within the 5, right? And I think that's conservative. It looked like a touchdown. So I'm bummed for Cornelius Johnson too, right? Because I know he hasn't found the end zone, and this was an opportunity. So yeah, it's a bummer, but I don't feel like we're focused on that all that much this game because he made up for it later, right? And I have that play clip, so we'll show that later. And that's what you got to do, have a short memory and be able to make up for it later that game, and that's what he did. But moving on after the field goal.
Can make plays. We got to give him the football. Play action on first down, a lot of pressure, and
So this is kind of where I was laughing in the stands here, where I'm like, man, play action is just terrifying for anyone against this defense, right? Because play action, especially when you're sending Junior Colson on a blitz, right? You're flirting with danger here. So Michigan just obviously sent 5 on the pass rush here, and didn't work out, right? Didn't work out for Minnesota because of this sort of stretch threat, right? That you're really doing a lot for Minnesota. You open yourselves up for a ton of pressure on play action when these linebackers aren't respecting that, right? So again, Michigan is or Minnesota is expecting, with a lot of this sort of motion, right? They're expecting their Michigan's linebackers to wait, right? But if you are sending one on a blitz, this is what can happen, right? Because of that stretch sort of look at how unimpeded you have Junior Colson flying through, right? And then he does a good job getting around. I believe that's Bryce Williams, the running back, does a really good job beating that block. And then really good jobs from both Josiah Stewart and Kenneth Grant, right? Good job let's watch Josiah Stewart gets to the inside here of this tight end. Let's watch Josiah Stewart here. Boom, good hands. Good recognition here as well, right? He looks, he sees he has the outside. Good little shuck there, and then works upfield. And then Kenneth Grant, similarly good job keeping his eyes up. So he's working against number 66 here, right? He probably has his eyes in the backfield that this isn't a run play, able to just beat that inside, right? So tons of pressure. Surprised it wasn't intentional grounding. I suppose you could argue that this guy is relatively in the area, but he's flying upfield. So I don't know. They're always too lenient on intentional grounding. But yeah, really good job getting home here. And I mean, Kelly McManus was 5 for 15, I think, on the day. No completions in the second half. So the pass game just wasn't there for Minnesota. And Michigan really took that away pretty well.
Thanks for emotion. Here's Zach Evans, the reigning Big Ten freshman of the week, just dragging tacklers, games 10 plus.
All right, so this is another successful run play. And again, it's set up by the overplay to the motion from the linebackers, right? And let's focus just first on how the motion is affecting the linebackers, right? Look at both Ernest Hausman at the top of your screen and Junior Colson, right? So you're sending number 11 on pre-snap motion going this way, right? And then you're sending your tight end across after the snap on this motion. Watch how both linebackers are going to react to the outside. Ernest Hausman to the pre-snap motion of number 11 here coming to the outside, and then Junior Colson to the motion here from your tight end. Just watch the linebacker level and their reaction to that, right? Boom, there's your snap. Look at how much room they're opening up in the middle, right? And if you just draw an imaginary triangle here of the potential area for the running back to cut, you really only have one defender inside of this rectangle, right? Maybe 1.5 here. But you have bodies who are able to get out to the second level because of how much space they're giving up, respecting the outside tier. So again, it's stressing a ton from your defensive line, working against the horizontal motion. And again, when you give up your shoulders to the offensive line, like Rashawn Benny is trying like hell to work down the line of scrimmage against this, right? Look at all the leverage that you're giving to the offensive line here. So it's difficult, right? It's tough to do that because you're trying to work horizontally while still maintaining leverage. And Benny just straight up gets pancaked here, right? He doesn't effectively get down the line because there is a balance, right? And I don't know how many times I've said Kenneth Grant is getting moved by a double team, but he does as well, right? So he gets washed out, and Rashawn Benny's trying to close this gap. He's getting washed out as well, right? So then when you add in a linebacker moving outside to the pre-snap motion, and then a linebacker who's hesitant because his eyes are in the backfield on this guy who might be going out on a pass play, right? You kind of have a couple, I don't want to call them useless defenders, but defenders kind of out in no man's land, right? With an offensive lineman who's able to pick that up, and he's already taken himself out of the play. So that's tough, right? That opens up a lot of cutback lanes because of, I think, the defensive line overplaying it a little bit, right? And you're making the job really tough on the linebackers overall. So give Minnesota a lot of credit, right? Good play here from your safety, Quentin Johnson. He initially comes to the outside, recognizes the big gap in the middle, and comes here. And then Junior Colson does eventually work through that offensive lineman to assist on the tackle here. So it is a good job of at least limiting there. But this is the scheme, right? This is the scheme for Minnesota, and they do a pretty good job executing this. There was, Mark here says, seemed like a slight hold on Benny's right shoulder. Let me see here. Yeah, you could argue like right here. I think you're probably saying he definitely is. But I would still say Benny lost this block. Like, I don't think that really, yeah. So I would say it's definitely a hold in part of the pancake, but it didn't make this play successful, right? Benny kind of took himself out of that play. So it's kind of a combination of you need to adjust how your linebackers are playing this a little bit, but your defensive line needs to be more aggressive and work more upfield than across the line of scrimmage here. You need to hold up at some point. You can't just run down the line of scrimmage. You're losing a lot of ground and making life really difficult for your second level.
So moves the sticks. And they'll feed the hot hand. Evans finds the hole. They just had one man.
So this is, same sort of, they're not doing anything special here. It's the same sort of action, right? Same sort of action where your linebackers are being taken out of the play by the motion, right? Here you see Houseman getting taken across here from this motion, right? He's going to move away from the middle of the field. Watch the hesitancy from, I believe that's Barrett. No, that's Houseman and Colson. So Colson is, again, still watching that initial movement here from the tight end, right? You see the eyes here of Colson. He's locked in on this tight end in case, again, he goes out here. So he is just waiting, right? He's waiting on that key. But again, look at all that space that's opening up because your linebackers are respecting too much on their keys here from the passing game. Minnesota is effectively removing the linebackers from that second level from that motion. So I feel like the adjustment that Michigan is trying here is, listen, blow this up backside. Instead of staying here and staying square and kind of squeezing this down the line of scrimmage, follow, right? Follow this. If this guy wants to run, follow his butt and go down that line of scrimmage. That's, I feel like, where one adjustment was made where Josiah Stewart is running like hell to get down there. He just misses, right? Not able to get there. It's actually a good block from the tight end to slow him down a little bit. Again, maybe a hold. Probably a hold right here. You could argue that he's probably getting held right there. All right. But then we look at, again, the interior defensive line, and they're not holding up very well, right? You don't ever want your hands for a defensive lineman to be up around the helmet. That means this guy's able to get under your arms into your chest and move you, right? Rayshon Benny, he has a tough job, but he has two guys pushing him here, and he's giving up a lot of ground. So again, Michigan is putting a little bit too much on their defensive line, expecting them to wash out. And look at how far down the field Rayshon Benny finds himself, right? So it's tough. It's tough. I feel like Michigan was starting to make the right adjustment here, but I feel like this also tests the conditioning of your defensive line, right? It's not just strength, it's agility as well as strength, and trying to work across that while maintaining leverage is a really tough task. Probably one of the toughest things for a defensive lineman to do. And then what else? You're kind of bringing down Mike Sainer still. I think that's who this is here. But again, he's kind of keeping outside leverage here, and then he's not able to readjust here back to the inside quick enough to respond there. He recognizes the block, but is not able to get back inside quick enough to adjust for that. So then it's just your safety. Again, give Quentin Johnson a good amount of credit there. He wraps this up and minimizes the damage on this play. But this is good execution from the offense, right? This is exactly what they wanted to do, and they're doing a good job blocking here. So sometimes you just got to give some credit to the offense where they're executing really well. It's tough for the defense to adjust to this on the fly, right? 75 gets great movement there. I haven't seen anyone really get a block like that on Kenneth Grant all year. So give him a lot of credit. And Benny, I feel like Benny is built well for defending this. Just not a good series for him, right? Straight up. And then I feel like Michigan had to adjust their keys with the linebackers because the motion is simply taking the linebackers out of this, right? Houseman and Colson are taken out of this play from the motion, right? So Minnesota is saying, hey, your linebackers are going to be ineffective if you continue to respond in this way. And you do have to pick your poison sometimes, right? Because if you are doing this with your linebackers, you're assuring that you're going to have any sort of play action like that accounted for, right? And keep in mind, Callie McManus was 5 of 15 with 2 picks. I mean, you'll take that for most games, but you're going to give up more chunks if the defensive line isn't perfect and if they're not winning every block, right? This is what you'll get. So you have to pick your poison a little bit with a lot of this motion. But Michigan did eventually switch up how their defensive line was playing this. So I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I do feel like it's really important to drive that point home.
Tyler in there, so all three backs have now had an opportunity. Play action, Callie McManus on the rollout. And he does have his first completion.
Okay, so this is where following these guys on play action is useful, right? Where you kept Houseman home, right? Houseman is home right here. You're sending 88 across. This is play action, right? Play action. So if you are going to send these guys hell bent on this, guess what? This guy's going to be open. So this is why there is benefit to keeping them in. For when it is an actual pass, guess what? Houseman's there, right? And we see that. This is good coverage. Well covered. No options here for Callie McManus. And it should be a loss. The spot is crazy after this, by the way. They spotted this at the 41-yard line. Like, I saw this in the stand. I was way up in the corner here. And this should be at best the 42.5-yard line, closer to the 43-yard line. They spotted this at the 41, which is stupid. And then, yeah, good call out, Derek Campbell. Great job by Harrell, not losing outside contain. So, yeah, really good job here from Harrell recognizing this, right? And then he does a good job getting into the backfield, forcing a throw from Callie McManus. So good job from Harrell. And again, get your hands up, right? Get your hands up, make the reads more difficult for the quarterback. This is crazy. How did they spot this at the 41-yard line? I mean, I get it. The ref got trucked at the end of this play, right? Got his leg taken out, but this was just bad. So, yeah, it should be a negative 1.5-yard play at best if we look at the next play, right? Where's the ball? At the 41-yard line. Am I crazy? What's going on? Anyway, 3rd and 2. Let's see what happens on this play.
Manis feeling the pressure, and he finds his target on the run. It's Williams for a first down.
This is a bummer, right? Because it's what, a 4-yard pickup. If you take in that 2-yard loss from the previous play, maybe it's not a first down, right? Maybe it's 4th and short. Anyway, couple reasons I wanted to clip this is I do feel like Houseman, or is that Houseman? Yeah, I do feel like Houseman was a little late on getting out on this, right? And it's a tough route because, again, you have to consider what's in front of you, and it's really difficult for Ernest Houseman to recognize the full play that's going on here because you're having this sort of wheel up the sideline. You're sending 9 across. You're sending another guy across. There's another guy from the trips going on a deep cross, but you have 2 guys here, right? You have 2 guys in the middle of the field. Your responsibility is the flat, right? That's where Houseman has to get. So you are looking at this, and the main thing that should be triggering alarm bells here, if you're looking at just Michigan's coverage here, is this guy will eventually drop off, but there's 2 guys in the center of the field here, right? And they're responsible for anything that's coming across their face like this. You shouldn't have 3 guys in the middle of the field here on zone coverage. You need someone in the flat, and no one is in the flat as I believe that's Quentin Johnson drops into his deep third here. So I do think you're just a little bit late if you're Houseman there. It's a good play. It's a good play. Give him a lot of credit. Michigan was close on their pass rush here, though. First, watch Jalen Harrell. He's been doing this little spin move and gotten some really good results out of it. He totally beats that block, right? And he's only not able to capitalize on that because Kaliak Manis is also pressured from the inside, right? So he's already reacting from another big win on the pass rush, surprisingly wide, like really, really good pass rush from Cam Good, right? Watch him just completely get rid of, is that the center? Now that left guard, completely get rid of that arm, and he's fast. Cam Good, he's pushing 350. It's an excellent swipe with that left hand. Boom, 99 in the backfield, right? So that's really the main reason that Calignas is able to be successful. If Cam Good is not free here, I feel like Calignas isn't ducking out this way. He probably tries to step up here or something because Braden McGregor has a speed rush on the backside, right? So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is how the pressure shook out because really 3 guys won. I feel like Braden McGregor is getting home on the outside, right? Cam Good absolutely demolishes his guy in the center, and Jalen Harrell does a really good inside move. It just happens that the one outlet of all 3 of this is around the outside, and that happens to be open, right? So it's unfortunate. And then, I just feel like you could have been a little bit quicker on the reaction here from Houseman to kind of split the distance, right? Ideally, he's right here splitting between Daniel Jackson. And I believe this is Spanford. I'm not sure. I don't think it's Spanford, actually. No, some fullback guy. So a little bit quicker reaction, he would get there. But, this still showed me a lot of good things from defensive line, right? Everyone's winning their battles here on the pass rush and winning them pretty dominantly. It's just a little bit of a late reaction from your linebacker. So it is what it is. Okay, let's move into an actual good play here. Actual good play. All right, we saw some bad plays. Back to the good for the defense.
Everybody staying fresh for the 4th quarter and through the season. They're going to run it on first down, and Michigan's defense.
And this is just destruction out of Mason Graham. All right, and this wasn't even a play where Mason Graham is supposed to tackle the ball carrier. It just happened to be that way. And what I mean by that is Michigan wanted to blow up any sort of potential of this tight end getting across the formation, because this tight end getting across here, that messes with your linebacker here, Michael Barrett, right? Michael Barrett has to respect this coming out. But what happens if him on his little pull, right, his little motion here after the snap, what if he gets demolished by Mason Graham, right? He's not going to be out here for a pass. This is behind the line of scrimmage. If he blows him up, right, and just completely takes him out of the play, good luck. Any play action pass, there's not going to be any responsibility for this tight end for your linebacker. So that frees up another defender where if you're saying, hey, if you do your job, get in the backfield, you're taking out this lineman, you're getting in the path of this tight end, guess what? I don't need to be reading him anymore. And I can just fly through here, right? If you want to continue doing this outside zone, that's how you do it. If they want to get horizontal, right? If the offensive line wants to continue getting horizontal here, guess what? I'm going to send one of my guys shooting through vertically. And that's exactly one of Michigan's main adjustments here was guess what? You're trying to get horizontal, try this, right? Boom. That's exactly what happens. And you can see how this shifted the responsibility of Barrett as well. Barrett is no longer in wait and see mode for this, right? They're no longer in wait and see mode. He's saying, I am going because I'm going to expect Mason Graham to take this, right? A question was, did Graham start? Did they slip him in later? I feel like Michigan rotates quite a bit. I think we did see quite a bit of Rayshon Benny early, and I think Mason Graham took a fair number of those snaps back. But I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and look at exactly who started, but I feel like by the end of the game, Mason Graham played more snaps. So anyway, that one simple adjustment of saying, you know what? We're sending Mason Graham in there just to take out the tight end, but Mason Graham with just an elite get off here, right, is just able to get through that, not only take out the tight end, but also take out the running back. I mean, he's a monster, right? He's a monster. So that's one of the disadvantages of this sort of offense, right? You don't have any initial leverage for your center to take this on if your defensive lineman can get skinny, right? 65 has to go over to 17. You have to shift your offensive line so you're using their horizontal responsibilities against them by slipping through here. These guys don't have necessarily a strong base right away, right? Because they're going horizontally. If you take all your power, you bring that north and south right away, you're taking that out. You're taking that out. And you can call this a blitz, Mark, but it really isn't, because all you're doing is you are sending Barrett here aggressively, but that's because he doesn't have any other responsibility anymore. Because him coming across, that's blown up. So there's no more responsibility for him to wait. This is his key, right? But you're banking on Mason Graham blowing up your key and that not being a responsibility in the case that this is play action. So it just happens that Mason Graham finds a running back in his lap, right? And I feel like the only additional, I feel like that's the play, right? It's just Mason Graham blowing that up. And this is the beginning of the end of the successful run plays for Minnesota with this sort of adjustment. Let's get into second 14 now. And now they're behind the sticks, right? Now Minnesota has to adjust and
stay in there.
Try to pass. So this play, I wanted to clip the whole thing, right? The longer play here with this little fake snap here, right? They saw Makari Page come up to the line of scrimmage, right? So this little fake cadence here. Michigan does this a lot, and it gets to show who's blitzing, right? Who's blitzing, do the fake cadence. You can see the defensive call. He creeps up here. And after he does that, right, look to the sideline. You can see the entire offense for Minnesota, right? They're looking towards their sideline to get a play. And I feel like what they're recognizing here is, listen, this is going to be wide open because they're going to send this guy. So on this little RPO, right, this is the key on a little RPO. Read him. Since he's coming, that's going to open this up immediately right here, right? So that's sort of the look at this sideline is adjusting here with that little cadence. And that's what you see. You see that little fake and boom, you just sit Daniel Jackson there right in the zone. And that's a big pickup, right? 2nd and 14. If he's able to catch and run a little bit upfield, there's a lot of open space here. So really, really important job there for Makari Page to get his hand up and get that ball batted down. And that's such an underrated thing about this Michigan team, right? We talk about the defensive line and how strong they are, how destructive they are. How many batted down balls have we seen this year? I feel like more than anything else. And I forget who mentioned it. It might have been on Twitter or something, but Mike Elston, right? Defensive line coach. That's a big area of focus, right? If you're not going to get to the quarterback, at least get a hand on the ball, right? This isn't a defensive lineman, but it's so important. It's so important, especially on a play like this, right? So excellent job from him. It's a heads up play. It's a huge play. That probably cut down a 10-yard pickup just by getting that. Good call from Larry Johnson. 17 bats more balls than anyone I've ever seen. Yeah, Brady McGregor has a knack for it. For sure he does. Field awareness, elite from all 11 on the play. Harbaugh said they practiced it live. It's such a huge thing. And I feel like not enough teams are doing that, right? It is such an important play. I can't remember a year where I've seen that many deflections, exactly what Mark said. I can't recall one. So it's such a good job, right? The play isn't over if you don't win on the defensive line, right? If you don't win against your block, that's okay. You can still win by batting the ball down, right? We've seen turnovers, right? Kenneth Grant's interception a couple weeks ago against Nebraska, right? Getting that hand on the ball creates only good things. So it's huge. It's huge. It makes sense to rep it as much as Michigan probably is because it can change a game.
Impressive young man. And as Todd mentioned, a legitimate NFL prospect. Hand off Corum. Corum finds some daylight. He's got some speed and some blockers. Corum down the sideline. And finally.
All right, here we go. Blake Corum. I think this was his biggest run of the game here. And again, this is where a lot of people, myself included, are wanting to see more from Donovan Edwards, right? And if it's not Donovan Edwards, if it's someone else, you probably will see a defense react in a somewhat similar way. But look at the shift of the entire defense with the motion here. All right, the motion you see out of Donovan Edwards here. Every defense is going to know how dangerous he is if he gets this ball, right? You'll have a block here, quick throw out here, and good luck. It's one-on-one against a safety, right? Linebacker's going to have a tough time getting out there. So you have to adjust, right? Defense has to flow this way. You're bringing number 2's alignment inside here. And then just watch initially even the linebackers, right? Even the linebackers, their momentum is shifting this way as well. So overall, you're setting up your offense extremely well just with the momentum of that entire second level, right? Look at where the safeties are, right? They're all going this way in reaction to this, right? So you can be a valuable asset on the offense even if you're not receiving the ball, right? So defensive line is making Michigan's job a little bit easier, slanting this way. So you can see Barner get a good block here, and then the key blocks are your pulls here from Keegan and Zinter. So there's Keegan. He doesn't even really have to block number 2 off the edge. He tries to get around the outside. Good job from Blake Corum stressing vertically here. So Blake Corum recognizes number 2 coming on the outside, and he adjusts just a little bit, right? He adjusts a little bit just to get vertical before back horizontal to the outside here. So it's a good job there. And then a nice block there from Zinter, right? This block really sets up the outside cut here for Blake Corum. And then the rest is just a foot race, right? And then you have just a loping Barnhart down the field, right? There he goes, 52. Good strength here from Blake Corum, right? That linebacker, give him credit, backside linebacker, almost makes a play here. Shoestring tackle, not able to get that. So good strength there from Blake Corum, keeping his balance. And then good job from Blake Corum setting up this block, right? He recognizes 52 flying down the field, right? And he stresses getting behind him to threaten, cutting back inside just to slow this guy down. It sets up your block that much better for Barnhart. So it's a good job slowing up. Let him get that block. Good job from Barnhart. And you maximize the yardage, right? At this point, I was like, oh, why'd he go out of bounds when I was like live in the stands? When I was like, yeah, he's just going to get hit here. What's an extra yard and a half to get hit like that? Shadyville, this could also be an RPO with a backwards pass to Edwards. That's a good point. Let's see where the read potentially could be. Yeah, it could be. It could be if 27, right? Maybe that's where his eyes are. If 27 isn't reacting like this, right, then you really like your odds of one-on-one blocking here with another deep safety. You could throw this out. So I don't know how live that read is, right? I'm not 100% sure about that. But it could be, right? And again, it opens up future iterations of this playing off of this motion, right? So really good job all around reading your blocks for Blake Corum. And yeah, Mark makes a good point. 5 good reasons to go out of bounds. That's 5 Golden Gophers chomping at the bit, right? So really good job overall in this play. Zinter gets a gold star. Barnhart, good hustle down the field. Antoine, do you have Mullings block when you destroyed the linebacker blitzing? Of course I do. That will come later. Come on, you think I would miss that play? Not a shot. Not a shot. Wouldn't miss that one for the world.
Done. Let's see if they punch it in here on 1st and goal. Edwards through the middle.
This is a touchdown. I really believe this is a touchdown. I feel really, really bummed for Edwards because I feel like he's improved his running, right? I feel like he's making the right decisions here, running hard, a lot harder than I've seen him. And he made the right reads here, right? He's just patient enough here to pick up what I feel is the maximum. He does such a nice little, I don't feel like we have a good angle on it, but it's a really good job. Great block here from Bredesen on his pull, getting here. Good lead block through the hole here for Bredesen. He recognizes, hey, I need to open up this hole a little bit more. And I feel like he made a good decision helping out Colson Loveland here on this block, right? Colson Loveland is not able to get his head across. So it's a good assist here. And Edwards has to hit this hole. So I feel like he got in there. And we have better angles of this. But gosh, I feel like the main thing is his butt down. And when is his butt down? We can't see it from this angle. But it seems like he's in to me, right? This is the other angle where you can see his butt. When does it actually hit the grass? Is it touching the ground here? I don't think so. It's close, right? It's really close. I don't think he's down until just after that, but really, really bummer that he's not able to get that in. But here's the thing: touchdown or not, I like to see this out of Donovan Edwards because I do think there's a little bit of a missed block here from who would that be? Is that Barnhart? Yeah, I think that's Barnhart. Barnhart. So Barnhart, I think, could get across a little bit quicker here, right? He stands up a little bit. He should be working down here to pick up this linebacker flying through. So he's not able to pick that up, right? But you can see this little adjustment here. Look at the footwork out of Donovan Edwards. A little footwork to chop, make 33 miss. That's horizontal, right? We don't have a good angle to show that movement, but it's a little bit of a micro adjustment here where he's able to adjust to make 33 miss here and then punch and hit the hole, right? That's about the best that you can do for Donovan Edwards. So I feel like he has really good footwork here and good patience. This is about the best that you can expect out of Edwards. And what I've been saying all year, and the main complaint about him is he hasn't been maximizing the yardage on any given play, right? This one, I feel like he's able to showcase his footwork, his athleticism here with this little shuffle in the backfield. And then he hits the hole hard, right? He recognizes when he has to go, put his shoulder down, and he does a good job. I think it's a touchdown. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. I thought he was in. And then this play, right? You guys tell me if I'm blind or not, all right? Because I feel blind with how I'm breaking this down, okay?
Corum now going for his 10th rushing touchdown. Corum fighting.
How is this second push not in, okay? I mean, this is just a shit show, right? It's just a shit show. Right here, I'll concede. He's not in. Not in, not in. But right here, ready? Right there, you're telling me, right? These are the arms of Blake Corum right here. These are the arms. You're telling me all you have to do is break this white line, right? You're telling me, wow, that was actually a pretty good line. Can we look at how well I drew that line across that? I feel like that's a pretty accurate line right there. Look at that. That's tough to do, guys. I also could have just done like the actual line tool right here, right? And that's probably good as well. But regardless. Anyway, these are the arms. These are the arms of Blake Corum. How are you telling me he didn't cross the plane there? Right there. What are we doing? What are we doing? So anyway, I don't get it. I don't get it. Where do you think the ball is, ref? Where do you think that ball is? Doesn't make any sense. I don't know what they're looking at. And it also doesn't make sense. I just noticed this now. What are you doing? Why are you here? Hold on. Why is he lined up here? This is where you should be. Look over the pylon. What is this angle doing for you? Okay. I don't get it. I don't get it. You're looking down this line. Whatever. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Refs were blind on that play. Moving on. I don't know why the screen went black. Okay.
McCarthy here too, not just Corum. Corum again goes airborne.
So this was the adjustment I wanted, right? If that defensive line is just going to tunnel, right, where they're just diving at feet, right? You see the defensive line, they're just diving. All these guys just diving. Guess what? They're not going to get any push, but there's going to be some area vertically over them, right? And that's where you have to take. That's where you have to take. If they want to tunnel, you jump over, right? And that's exactly what Blake Corum does. So it's good job recognition, right? Hey, if there's no good space through, go over them, right? So it's a great jump from him, and that's the adjustment you need to do, right? And that's the adjustment you need to take. So good decision, right? Jump over the bodies and go flying. So it made the previous two spots kind of moot. All right, let's get back into some defense
that we remember from last season, last few weeks. Play action, Calais McManus. He's going to dump it to Jackson anyway. He gets away from the first, but not the second, and he loses a yard.
Such a smart play here from Houseman, right? Again, on their play action, they love to do these little motions, right? The whole misdirection thing, I felt like this was kind of the Iowa strategy as well, right? Where they send the guys a bunch against the grain here, a little play action. It's a great job from Houseman, right, to recognize the guy crossing his face and get a good hit on him, right? If we watch, there's 15. Let's watch 15 the entire play here. So it's a really good job, right? Initially, he's backside, so he's going to be shuffling down. Watch the technique here. Coming down the line of scrimmage here, shuffle, backside. He has responsibility for anything coming backside. He recognizes number 9 crossing his face here. Right? Boom, dislodges him. He's behind the line of scrimmage. You can hit him like that. So it's such a good play, getting him off his path, right? Now look where he catches the ball. That is a good 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, right? And that buys you so much time, right? He has to get all the way here, right, to make this a 0-yard gain. And you give Derek more time to get down the line of scrimmage. You get Houseman time in pursuit. You have a ton of space for Mike Sainristil to form up here. So you give so much time for everyone to come flowing back to the play, results in a 1-yard loss. So it's such a smart play from a sophomore linebacker in Ernest Houseman. Really good job recognizing it, seeing the guy coming across his face there, able to recognize, I'm probably not going to get to the quarterback, so let's dislodge a body in front of me. So just really smart play from your linebacker, and a good job from Sainristil, right? Jackson's a good player. Lots of different ways he could take this. Form up, let the rest of the defense flow to the play and make the tackle. So good job from Houseman. Like to see how he continues to play. I really like him as a linebacker. Really good player for Michigan. Okay, I might need to go get a water.
Evans the back, delayed handoff, and he goes backwards.
And this is where, again, I feel like Michigan made some good adjustments, right? But Minnesota kind of had to switch up their overall plan, right? We don't see the same sort of stretch. This is power, right? And teams that try straight up power for against Michigan, they're just going to lose, right? Again, you're now asking Minnesota to win one-on-one blocks against Michigan, right? And good luck doing that is essentially where this starts and ends. So it's a good job. I would say really excellent job here from Derek Moore. He's the guy who blows this play up. Watch his play that's Josiah Stewart. Derek Moore does a good job on his responsibility, but this is Josiah Stewart, right? What were we saying about Josiah Stewart all year? Not keeping the edge, right? And they've adjusted his responsibility here to just be a missile down the line of scrimmage. So watch Josiah Stewart, right? This is if this tackle wants to get out to the second level, let him. You're just going to go off his butt and go screaming down the line of scrimmage here. Really good job here for Josiah Stewart recognizing that. Boom, blow up 71, right? Boom, blow that up, and he's able to make that tackle. So a really good job. Now, is that his responsibility? It seems like it is, right? And what I mean by that is it seems like because you have this sort of you have Michael Barrett playing the outside. Seems like Michael Barrett is actually responsible for this outside gap. So with this guy getting to the second level, you now have someone else responsible for taking the outside. So that's no longer Josiah Stewart's responsibility. He has the responsibility of inside 71, right? Blow up right here to the inside shoulder of 71 coming across on his pole. And that's exactly what Josiah Stewart does, right? Boom, blows that up. That's the exact gap that the running back is looking for. It's not there, right? I will say that Michael Barrett does get blown up, right? Michael Barrett is flying around the outside. He gets met by a tight end and gets demolished on his block, right? So do a little bit better job. He just kind of gets blindsided. I don't think he saw that tight end coming. So he did get depleted there. And then, yeah, you guys are mentioning it in the chat here. Cam Good doing a good job, right? Really good footwork here and fighting against that movement. You can see him get lower here. So that initial move, right, with that right arm trying to get under, but then watch him reset his level and gets low here. See the feet chopping? Look at the feet chopping there for Cam Good. He's really holding up well here and trying to stay square. He's taking up a lot of space, right? Taking up a lot of space there just by not moving. So it's a good job from him. And then I even like what I saw out of Kenneth Grant, who I thought got a little bit too far upfield, but then he resets, right? Instead of leaving this big open gap here, he works upfield there at 78. Kenneth Grant, boom, works back inside, make sure that gap doesn't open up. So it's a good job overall from the defense on this play. Okay, let's move on to the next play. I might have to go grab a water. Yeah. Oh, this is a better angle. Yeah, there's Josiah Stewart doing a really good job. Josiah Stewart, man, he's really coming on. He's really coming on well. Okay. Notice at this point in the game where the run wall is at or 1 yard on Minnesota ball side of the ball versus earlier. Yeah, you don't see guys getting pushed, 3 to 5 yards down the line of scrimmage anymore, or past the line of scrimmage, I should say.
Caleb Manis Had some time, it ran out quick.
Whew. Man, what a series, right, for Josiah Stewart on this one, right? Just after that last play, the same drive. And this was the thing with Josiah Stewart, where we knew he was quick, right? But he is strong. He is just an extremely strong player. We can see him number 5 here, just able to get under this tackle, right? Good hands. He's getting face mask there, hands to the face, and still fights through that. So I love this angle. Just boom, look at the hands. Good technique, right? He's not tall. He's 6'1", but just able to boom, get right through. And it's a race to the quarterback between him and Derek Moore. Really good job. Violent hands. Right? That's tough to do. Think of how big 69 is versus Stewart. Stewart's 6'1". What is he, like 230 something? It's a lot of strength. A lot of strength from Josiah Stewart. So I feel like he's starting to put it together. Right? He's starting to put all the pieces together. The game is starting to slow down. I feel like he just had to adjust, right? Going from Coastal Carolina to Michigan, it's a big adjustment. Looking at the rest of the pass rush, again, Derek Moore does a good job. Let me shift over to him. So Derek Moore at the bottom of your screen, able to get a good rush as well. Pretty identical rush there, actually. Both have just sort of a bull rush through the tackles right to the quarterback, right? So if Josiah Stewart isn't there, you have Derek Moore winning his pass rush. Josiah Stewart just gets there first, right? Really good job. So nothing really more to say than just this guy is starting to show up. I had pretty high expectations. I tweet out a list of breakout defenders that I expect each year. Josiah Stewart was towards the top of that list, and I feel like he's starting to show out. Antoine went from speed to power. He actually got the tackle off balance with his speed. And when he was on the wrong leg, he quickly went to power because he had leverage and caught him off balance. Yeah, and I feel like this angle probably captures that a little bit better, where when you threaten the speed, right, when you threaten getting up field, that's going to force the kick set more from the offensive lineman, forces a less powerful base to get that verticality, right? And look at when he shifts over to the speed rush, he's off the ground. That offensive lineman is off the ground at this point, still trying to get vertical, right? Get vertical to stay square with the initial speed rush. So then by the time he converts that, yeah, there's not a solid base for a 69 to be able to generate any power against that. Any general thoughts on the Minnesota O-line? Because it looked pretty good. Usually is pretty good, but looked, and again, everything is in context, right? And you have to look at a myriad of Pro Football Focus and different metrics. I don't think this offensive line is great by any means, but I don't think it's necessarily bad, right? Between Nebraska, Rutgers, and this offensive line, I would say they're middling at best, but I don't think they're not MAC level guys. So overall, is this the best of the best offensive line Michigan will face? No, it isn't. But I feel like the main thing that we were looking for out of Josiah Stewart thus far is he was pretty quiet against even like Bowling Greens of the world, right? Even like the non-conference. So for him to be able to step it up against Big Ten level competition, I think I'll say this. I think the overall athleticism of the offensive line for Minnesota is better than some of the others that Michigan has seen. I don't think they're as strong. So I think they execute well as a unit, especially in like the zone stretch that we saw. I think in pass sets and dealing with more like strength moves like we saw, I don't think they were well equipped to handle that. So I think as a unit, they're generally pretty good, but I don't think they're that strong individually. They're better as a unit than in individual matchups.
And he's hard to find, the same way Barry was. Pitch it, Edwards. Trying to set up his blocking, and he's...
All right, so this was one of the rare negative plays on offense that I wanted to clip because I was like, what went wrong on this play, right? What went wrong here? And it's a couple things. I think this play goes very differently if Zinter is able to get out to his block. So Zinter is free releasing out to get to this play side linebacker right here. I think Zinter gets a little bit too far vertical without working horizontal. He doesn't set himself up well to get to that block, right? Give number 6 a ton of credit for putting down his shoulder here and working through this block, right? But I do think Zinter needs to work down the line of scrimmage a little bit more to either force this guy upfield or force his way through the block. I think he made the job there of number 6 a little bit too easy, and that's what essentially doomed this play. Now, I do still think you could do a little bit better as Donovan Edwards. What I mean by that is I do think there's a potential crease to hit this right away, right? If you follow this right off the butt here, there could be a potential crease if he hits it now, right? But that's really difficult, right? Because there is number 6 right there already flowing to that play. I understand why he would think to go outside here. So I think this is a simple one where on a sort of, you can almost view this as a stretch play, right? It's just kind of a pitch. It's tough. It's tough, and every block needs to get there horizontally. And Zinter wasn't able to get in front of his guy, because imagine right now that Zinter is able to get on this block, right? Then you have a lot of avenues. Say there's a block happening right here. This block is happening. You have a lot of avenues here for Donovan Edwards and a lot of open space to follow this and set up this defensive back one way or the other after he gets past these initial blocks, right? So, again, could Donovan Edwards have stepped on it right here, right? Recognize this, recognize the alignment of this block here from Barter on the outside, step on it and follow Barnhart to the outside? Yeah, I think he could have done that. But I do think just the initial movement here, like these first couple steps, I think for Zinter, I think he needs to work horizontally more than get upfield. I feel like he just got upfield and took maybe the wrong angle a little bit. But give number 6 credit that he did a really good job working under that. So again, sometimes the defense just wins, and number 6, I think, had a heck of a play. So I put this more on Zinter than I do Donovan Edwards. I don't think there was much that he could have done on that. All right, 2nd and 13. Now you're behind the sticks, right? That's what that play. That's what that play has done now for your offense.
Really good out of the backfield catching the football too. McCarthy over the middle. Edwards makes one man miss. A first down for Edwards.
And this is just where Edwards is the best, right? And it was really evident. I don't even think it shows up on film as well as in person seeing this, where I was seated from the perspective of this play. I was seated up here, like way up. And the initial cut, the lateral movement that Donovan Edwards has here, right there, that lateral cut, and then the cut to go vertical, that's elite. That is extremely elite. And I feel like this angle definitely shows it better. But yeah, at full speed, his ability right here to make that cut and then the second cut to get vertical, he does that extremely quickly. And getting him out in space like this is the best way to take advantage of his athleticism, right? And this is a quick win because look at the coverage, right? We don't really get a good view of what's happening downfield, but look at how quickly all of the second level is getting out of this area that Donovan Edwards is going to sit in, right? So they all just completely drop back and get a ton of depth here and give a lot of room here for Donovan Edwards out of the backfield. And that's exactly, give Michigan a lot of credit for setting up their players for success. This is where Donovan Edwards is most successful, getting him out in the open field. At the game during warmups, Michigan was doing warmups like down over here, and I was just right here watching them. and they had Donovan Edwards receiving punts. And I'm really shocked that they haven't done that yet. I expect them to, because this is essentially right here, right? I mean, the guys aren't flying at you full speed, but these are the sort of cuts initially, 1 and 2 cuts, and then get up to speed that you need from a punt returner. So I feel like they're prepping something for him to be a punt returner. I can just feel it, that that's where they're going with him. But these are the exact type of plays that you want him to have the ball more so than anyone else on the team. So that's great. And with Michigan's productive tight ends, right? They're going to have to respect that. And the more zones that defenses have to play, again, with the tight end slips, right, that we saw earlier, with respecting the deep ball to Russell Wilson and his speed, and not letting anyone get, or not letting him get over the top of you and setting up a zone there. Zones will continue to open up for these sorts of plays, right? And this play is so quick that you can see the linebackers here are still getting back into their zone by the time the ball's out. So this is really complementary football. And this is where, again, where Donovan Edwards needs to eat, because that move right there, that lateral quickness in the open field, that's where he's best. And that's where they need to continue to find opportunities for him.
So far through the first 5 games this year, but he's been the biggest cheerleader for everybody else throughout the process. McCarthy dialing up a deep ball down the field. Oh, it's caught.
Should have been pass interference here. Right? Should have been pass interference. To your question, Mr. Martini, why is he turning his back? Bad coaching. On getting back into a zone, it depends on the zone and how different linebackers are coached. They usually say, like, run like a bat out of hell to get into your zone and then look back towards the quarterback. So I don't think it's necessarily bad coaching. More so as a quick developing play, and they weren't expecting to dump off that quick. So he was probably looking for like a deep cross, or that like a deep dig route. So hold on, let's go back to this play. Right, if we think about Michigan's deep dig routes, right, that come from the outside across the middle. I'm going to draw it on this side because I don't have a view on the other side, right? So that's potentially where this guy could be dropping to if there's one coming from the other side of the field, right? That's something Michigan likes to run a ton. Have been put on a film a ton. So I feel like that's where this guy is looking to get to, and that's probably where his eyes are, right? Is there anything coming across here? Okay, back to this play. I thought Cornelius Johnson could have kept his feet watching it live, but maybe not. I don't think so. It was an underthrown ball, and he got interfered with. So I'm not going to discredit Cornelius Johnson for coming off of his feet for that. He's holding up here. He definitely gets pulled. And I feel like this angle, we'll have another angle. So here's the actual route tree. You're sending, who's this, Frederick Moore, up the sideline, sending a deep post route here out of Cornelius Johnson. Good route too, right? Good route. He calls for it. He's wide open. If this ball is thrown appropriately, right, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. So again, I kind of feel for Cornelius Johnson because he beat this, right? If this is appropriately placed in stride, he wins because he has a couple steps on that defensive back, but he has to slow up for the ball. And then, so yeah, could he have kept his feet? Maybe, but look at how the defensive back, not only with the arm here, but also the leg, right? He's kicking the leg here of Cornelius Johnson into his other leg, right? So it's creating almost an impossible situation where Cornelius Johnson is already jumping. That pull and that kick of that leg throws off the balance there of Cornelius Johnson automatically. So it for sure could have been, should have been pass interference. I don't know how it wasn't called, but incredible concentration there for Cornelius Johnson to go up and get that. That's an extremely difficult catch to bring down. He deserves a lot of credit, right? So earlier when I said, when you have that 3rd and 3 drop early in the game, no one's talking about that because people are talking about this play, right? And they appropriately should be because this is a hell of a play, and that's how you make up for it, right? That's how you make up for a poor play. And look at this route. Really, really good route, right? Just a little head fake right there. Little head fake, that one step to the outside, just a little bit here, right? That one step to the outside, that just makes that defensive back step a little bit too hard. Watch this defensive back. He's in his back pedal, right? He's going to step with his right foot. Watch his right foot step a little bit too hard in reaction to that little head fake. And that's what takes some of the momentum out of number 12. Really good job of Cornelius Johnson making that fake, slowing up the defensive back's momentum a little bit. And that's what sets this up, right? It should have been PI, wasn't called that. He's able to adjust and make this catch. Okay, I need to go get some water. Give me 1 second. 12 should have tackled him to only give up 15 yards versus the gain it was. You're right. Yeah, it should have been PI, and he should have. You're right. That would have been better, but he didn't. All right, give me 1 minute. I'm going to get a water. Okay, we're back. Okay, sorry. I felt like SpongeBob when he's like super parched, right? Doesn't have any water left. That was me. Okay, let's get into. It is Bush League. That's the first time I ever forgot a water, and I realized how much of a rookie move it was, man. This is Bush League. All right, let's go. First and goal after the after that big pickup.
The ball flying against Darius Green. Gains 49, sets up 1st and goal. McCarthy's going to keep it himself. McCarthy gets to the outside.
And this one, longest review ever after this play, right? Just really crazy. Is this a read? Is this a keep? Seems like it is a read. The little eyes to fake it. Love that from JJ McCarthy. So who's he reading here, right? Got an RPO. Seems like he's probably reading this guy right here, right? If we're looking at the eyes. And JJ McCarthy just has to make a decision. Can I beat this guy or not? Or maybe it might be even reading this guy because you do have Colson Loveland coming to the inside here. So I do think it probably was more likely than not number 6 is the read here, right? If it is an actual read, this could also just be something that's called that says, hey, they're reacting too heavily for this. Because his eyes are relatively late, right? But I do feel like he's probably reading number 6 and saying, you know what, I'm going to be able to beat him to the outside. Good block from Colson Loveland here, right? Really good job picking that up on the outside. It's almost a nice play on and I feel like Colson Loveland is doing a good job here, not like laying the boom here, because it is technically a blindside block here, right? I do think this is the right block. The question here, Adam Shepardson, like, should he be blocking this guy instead, right? I feel like Michigan likes this this battle here for JJ McCarthy, expecting him to beat him. It is a good question, though, of should Colson Loveland be blocking here instead, like block, then you leave this guy, right? Do you like the battle here of JJ McCarthy to the outside against this guy instead of here? It's a good question. And I'm honestly not sure because it doesn't seem like there's any sort of decision here for Colson Loveland. It seems like he's locked in the entire way, right? So it's not like there's a decision between one of these. I feel like they're hoping that this guy is going to follow Loveland, but Loveland isn't even really like selling a route. I feel like maybe they're banking on like a little fake block and then release out to the end zone, and that's his responsibility, right? So it's a good question. It's a good question because I do think JJ McCarthy would have been able to beat this guy without the block, right? Like I feel like he would have been able to do it if Colson Loveland is reaching out here. But regardless, I don't feel like there's any real way to know. But anyway, good evasion there from JJ McCarthy. Is there a hold on the outside from Cornelius Johnson? Let's watch number 6 here. Nothing. Yeah, maybe a little bit right there. Yep, you could call that. You could. Now, the main thing with a hold is this guy really trying to like fight to the outside. So like if JJ McCarthy was here, right, and this was happening at that time as this guy's trying to fight outside, you probably see that called. Right here because he's let go a little bit and now he's just working across his face there and not holding on. I feel like that's why you don't see it called. I mean, I give Cornelius Johnson a fair amount of credit, right, for staying engaged the whole time, holding or not. I like to continue to see that fight, right? Continue to see that fight, work across, make the job difficult of that defensive back. So good job all around here. And again, I feel like Colson Loveland does a good job catching the defender instead of completely laying them out because I feel like you could have called that like a blindside block if Colson Loveland, if Colson Loveland like completely decimates number 20 there, I feel like he more catches him on the block rather than absolutely destroy him. So yeah, to me, this was a clear touchdown. Again, I had a pretty good angle of this from, I was way over here, but almost directly in line with this to see the ball inside the pylon here. I don't know how you possibly think that this isn't a touchdown, especially from this angle. But anyway, way too long of a review. I agree, Mr. Martini. It was pretty nuts. But yeah, nice play overall. And JJ McCarthy showing off the athleticism with his legs. Right. I want to go through. We're at 90 minutes. I want to get through at least one play that I'm thinking of. All right, let's just keep going. We'll go till 10, and then I'll call it there.
For 3 years. That buy-in is apparent. Play action again. Khaled Manis, and he's just going to eat it.
Another play, man, where Mason Graham is just a monster. Just an absolute monster. And I don't know if Minnesota was just getting like a little bit tired here. It's also a little odd on their blocks of how much depth they're getting down the field. Like you look at this offensive lineman and he is well past, like you're given, I think what is it, like 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage to stay in for pass blocking. It might even be, I think it's 1 yard in NFL, right? But I think it's 3 yards in college. Anyway, he's way downfield for any sort of pass. So it's a little odd. But then, yeah, just look at the overall technique here of Mason Graham to just completely olay the initial block, right? So that's step 1, completely whops that guy, right? And then he's working through the backfield, recognizes, right? He has good technique, shuffling the feet, active feet, recognizes the fake, boom, beats the running back, and then works back towards the line of scrimmage, readjusts, and picks up the sack, right? Crazy play. And he's a sophomore. How often do you see a sophomore dominate like that? He just dominated that offensive lineman. Really weird. He's weird, man. As a sophomore to be doing that, it's weird behavior. Like I don't understand it. So he just absolutely decimates him. And that's all him, man. Like this whole play is just Mason Graham. Like there's nothing else to break down here. It's just nuts. And he has a play later on in the game as well. Okay. I got 2 back-to-back negative plays. Let's work through these. There's a 4th and 1 play for Minnesota. They picked this one up.
Handoff. Williams barrels for.
I feel like, do we have a better angle on this? Yeah, we have an end line angle here. Not the best job against the double team for who is that? That's Chris Jenkins. I feel like he does get pushed quite a bit here. Gosh, I don't have the best vision of this because of the actual telecast. So I apologize for that. So this is a little difficult because I feel like you have to look at the assignments for each of the gaps here, right? So outside free here. You have play side. Let me back up actually a little bit. Okay. So looking at gap assignment, right? Outside right here, Mason Graham is right here. That would leave your gap assignment on the backside to be here, here, in between right here. And then what does that leave? Right here between this double team for Kenneth Grant, and then your linebacker right here, right? So you should have every gap covered if you look at just how many defenders you have and all of the different gaps, right? You should. Now, what I see is a couple double teams get home and linebackers not able to commit to their gaps here. All right, so let's move forward with this angle a little bit. You can see the gaps are still being played at least appropriately. Outside arm free here. Here you see the linebacker getting this, trying to work through the center here, right? Just hold up to this. That's the reaction here. So I actually do feel like Colson, in review of this, right, should have done a little bit better job trusting Kenneth Grant, right? You can see the sort of focus that Kenneth Grant has on this play side A gap. You need to shift down hard into this gap. That's where the issue is. You need to get there and get there quick because this double team against Chris Jenkins, right? You can see the eyes here of this guard. He's going to get out to you. You got to beat him to that spot. So if we move forward here, not able to get there, right? There's hesitancy. That's the whole. Trust that your defensive lineman, Kenneth Grant, is going to be able to accommodate that. I feel like that's the fear here of Junior Colson. He's keeping in mind here, what if the running back cuts into this gap, right? That's what I feel like is going through his head. Recognize that you got to trust Grant here, that he's going to pick this up, but that you have to get to that gap quickly. And he doesn't, right? Him holding up right there, that doesn't help anybody. That's assisting 69 getting there, right? And that's all you need, that one extra half step right there. Boom, right? There's an opportunity for Colson to stuff that. Get through there. So yeah, hesitancy as a linebacker. I wasn't that great of a linebacker. I was a linebacker in high school. I wasn't very good at it because I was more hesitant. Can't be hesitant. Get your nose in that gap. Boom. If he gets through the Grant gap, doesn't it go for a TD? I mean, yeah, you could argue that, hey, if this gap is closed, right? If we do have Junior Colson right here, and this guy's able to bounce here, is this double team getting enough movement? And is Kenneth Grant able to fall off of this? Or is this guy Ernest Hausman, able to react back towards that? Again, I think that's fair. Like it could happen, right? But you have to trust that your defensive lineman will be able to work off of that block. And because your backside linebacker doesn't have to commit in the same way that your middle linebacker here does, he should be able to flow back to it as well. So is there a risk of that? Sure. Right. But you got to trust that your guys will be able to react to this, right? This is 4th and 1. 4th and 1. Fill that gap. Don't let the double team dictate how you're going to play as a linebacker. But again, give Minnesota credit. They executed. All right, here we have a 2nd and 10 play, 13 seconds left in the second half.
Now 2nd and 10 with 13 seconds left. Calliot Manis loads it up, going deep towards the end zone.
And that's fair, Mark. That's fair that to me, I don't see it as like a risk, right? Because you should have a backside linebacker there still who doesn't have to commit to his gap as aggressively as you do with where the play design is taking you. And you should have a defensive lineman, Kenneth Grant, in that gap, right? So there's two safety valves there that both would have to not make a play in order for that to happen, right? So again, is it like you're sacrificing making the step on fourth down to make a 5-yard stop or 7-yard stop, whatever, in potential of giving up a touchdown if you commit like that, right? There's always risk. So I feel like it's hard. It's hard to judge that appropriately, right? From my point of view. But I feel like he was just a little bit slow to that gap. Okay, so frustrating drive, right? That 4th and 2, there was another fourth down that Minnesota picked up, sets up this play. This is a relatively quick pass. Relatively quick pass, not bad coverage, just a perfect throw here and a really well caught ball, right? We're looking here at one-on-one coverage here for Sainer still gets good hands on him, right? Initially. I saw some people on Twitter saying like, oh, this is pass interference. This is just good physicality, hand fighting, right? Disrupting the route a little bit. And then, yeah, just gets beat a little bit. Sainer still obviously an excellent player. I feel like he was just a little bit too focused on the physicality aspect of this instead of running with him, right? So I feel like he's focusing too much on getting into the chest here instead of running with him, right? He's not fully running until a little bit too late, and he's focused into the chest a little bit instead of running. So I mean, he's still close, right? He's still just half a step behind, and give a lot of credit for the location of that ball. Now, was Keon Sabb was he late on this? I think the answer is probably yes. Right? Let's see. Let's try to gauge on his responsibility here. Like it does seem like he recognizes that, right? And to me, there's no other responsibility for Keon Sabb at this point, right? From here, he's recognizing this is the only route coming to his side. Right? There's no other routes on this side of the field. Maybe he could take a quick check if there's anything deep coming across here, right? But he's recognizing this. I feel like as soon as he sees this, he should at least start to be running deep because I feel like I'm pretty sure this is cover 2, not cover 3. And he should be out of his back pedal at this point. When he's looking back, I feel like he should start running this way. So I'm a little confused what he's looking back for, right? At this point, you recognize this guy's getting to the outside. You need to try to get over the top here. Now, is it his responsibility, right? This is tough because it's damn near on the sideline, right? It's 3 or 4 yards from the sideline. It's really difficult to expect any safety to be over to help on that. All right. So I do think it's really difficult to expect Keon Sabb to be able to make a play on this ball. But I do feel like he could have been closer. All right. I don't feel like he takes a bad angle, maybe just a second slow for that. I don't get why they were playing so aggressive anyway. The only thing that can hurt you in the situation is a touchdown. And I feel like that's the main takeaway there, Antoine. Is I don't know why this wasn't cover 3, right? Don't let anything get over top of you. Don't put yourself in this situation where you're one-on-one coverage for a fade down the sideline. So yeah, I feel like it's something that the coverage wasn't best here. So yeah, Mikey had bad situational awareness. I don't care what he catches. You just can't give up that touchdown or let someone get behind you. It's a good point. Tackle PI. Yeah, take him out, right? Take him out. I get that. Vance Bradford said Harbaugh fell on the sword for bad defensive play. I mean, yeah, if you're Don Brown, right? Don Brown will always man up and be one to always be hyper aggressive. Don't give up any yards, right? But there's a time and a place, right? The guy already hit a 54-yard field goal. Take him out right here if you want, or whatever you may be. I'm not mad about it. It took a really good throw. It took an exceptional catch, right? That's something that you don't really expect from Minnesota to be able to pull off, right? That's an excellent catch. It's really difficult, right? And that's not replicable that often. So it's not bad coverage, just a better play offensively. It is what it is. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Okay. Nah, I got like 10 minutes left. I want one specific play.
Because he's very comfortable in his own skin. Oh, that's good. McCarthy, deep shot, and he underthrew his.
All right, this one, I just wanted to focus on Frederick Moore here. Okay. Frederick Moore needs to fight back towards this ball. All right. He's headed up the sideline here. It's a little bit of a physical route here. At this point where he recognizes where this ball is, work back towards the ball, right? Work back towards it. If it's short, if it's inside, if it's behind, work back towards it. There's no excuse to let that ball fall without fighting through the defensive back there, right? I feel like we've seen there was a play against Maryland where Marvin Harrison let the defensive back run him over when working back towards an underthrown ball. Let that happen, right? So you got to do a little bit better job helping the quarterback out in these situations. If this defensive back doesn't want to look back for the ball, make him pay for it, right? Make him pay for it. Make him run into you. Make him take you out. Sacrifice yourself a little bit, right? He will 100% get pass interference in that case. So I'm not against the throw, right? One-on-one coverage, it's a really difficult route. Again, we saw a Sainer still, right? Really difficult route to cover. It's going to be very difficult to get his eyes around on it. If you play this appropriately on this sort of back shoulder looking type of throw, it's either PI or a catch. So he'll learn, right? Definitely a freshman mistake, as Adam Shepardson says, for sure. Coachable moment, right? This is what you need to do next time a pass is underthrown or back shoulder and there's defensive back in the way. Okay. 3rd and 5 here.
McCarthy fires.
This one was tough, right? This is another one where I really like the route, where it's just a quick out route here, right at the sticks, right? You got Donovan Edwards. Again, take advantage of the open space, him against the linebacker. You love that matchup and his ability to get a first down after that, right? So that's the initial read. You have so much leverage there, right? Just with the alignment of this linebacker. Look at how much leverage you have on an out route. With Donovan Edwards, good luck there, right? Good luck any linebacker being able to defend against that out route. There's no reason for Donovan Edwards to A, drop this ball, and B, go to the ground, right? Even if he catches that and he's going to the ground, it's not a first down, right? So twofold, like two areas of coaching here. Listen, this needs to be if you're going to fall to the ground, it needs to be a 5-yard out and not a 4-yard out. And second thing, keep your feet and catch the ball. You got to work upfield after this, right? So it's a bummer, right? And that's where this play was going the entire time. That's where this play is designed to go. That's where the read of JJ McCarthy, you can even see this isn't even a route. This is just going to block, right? Because this is meant to be an out, and then boom, you go, right? You go off of this block, and this little hitch should occupy this defensive back enough to give a little bit of a crease there for Donovan Edwards. So it's very, very unlike him to drop this sort of ball, right? He's usually very sure-handed. I would call that an anomalous behavior from him. All right, Michigan back on defense after that drop.
Play action, Khaled Manis. Decent time.
Here's another one. Someone in the chat already brought it up, right? If you're not getting to the quarterback, what do? Get that paw up, right? Get it up. And this one's so impressive to me because Bray McGregor is backside of this play, right? He's on the backside here. He's able to get his hands, get his eyes in the backfield here, recognize it, and boom, right? We can't even see it from that angle, but just such a great job, right? Such a great job of recognizing the timing of that. His really long arms, able to get that up. And, looking down the field, it's hard to say exactly if this would have been a completion, but you have both Jackson and one other thing that's probably Crooms downfield. It seems like there might be a potential opening there, right? We can't actually see down the middle of the field, but seems like there possibly would have been something underneath here or something. I don't know. But anyway, there's a lot of open space there. And again, being able to get your hand up even when you're not, traditionally winning on the pass rush. Bree McGregor's doing a good job getting into the backfield here against the tight end, right? He's getting a lot of depth into the backfield, but he's not going to get to the quarterback, right? So he recognizes, hey, I'm getting here, I'm getting home, but I'm not going to be able to affect this unless I bat down the ball. He does a great job doing that. So good job for him. I feel like he's really improved his game. I feel like he's still been relatively quiet this year, but he's still right there. He's getting there. All right. 1st and 10 here for Michigan. I don't know if I'm going to get to that play I want to.
The 63 yards of the touchdown play action for McCarthy. Lobs over the middle, wide open. Roman Wilson in space across the 30 and ushered.
Really one of the bigger pass plays. Roman Wilson, pretty quiet in this game. Really nice play action here for Michigan. And then look at the help here for Blake Corum, right? Good job after play action helping out your left tackle here, Ladarius Henderson. Able to recognize that blitz off the edge. Boom, right? Decleats him. Really good job. Good pass protection all around. You look at the pocket here. Only sending 3 plus the blitz. You're keeping in, an extra couple guys here if you're Michigan, sending out 3 on routes. But this is another just good luck, right? Good luck if you want to try to keep up with Roman Wilson. Good luck. And if you don't, right, if you want to stick in zone, we're going to have routes that cover that, right? So it's interesting. I can't tell the exact coverage because it seems like they're trying to pass off here. What I mean by that is it seems like there's a missed assignment where this defensive back is trying to denote this crossing route. He's going to point that out where the other 2 receivers that are running their routes sort of clear out routes across. You can see there goes Cornelius, or I think that's Tyler Morris and Cornelius Johnson. They're manned up, right? They're manned up on these sort of deeper cross routes, but they're not going to correctly hand off Roman Wilson. So it seems like the expectation here. Yeah, I don't even know because it doesn't make sense for it to be number 6's responsibility here. Right? What I mean by number 6, I don't know who he's pointing to. Actually, you know what? I think he is pointing towards this defensive back, and they're saying, "Hey, these guys are crossing, right? You pick this guy up coming across here. You stay and pick him up, carry him across, and I will pick up this crossing route here." Right? That's what this guy is trying to denote. But obviously, number 7 here is following. I believe that's Tyler Morris across, and this defensive back doesn't. So good luck, right? And that's the sort of thing that even if you are manned up with it, good luck stopping it, right? Good luck stopping it. I like this throw from JJ McCarthy. Could it have been in stride? Sure. But when you're this wide open, right, ensure the catch. Throw it to an open zone, let your wide receiver come down with it, and then continue upfield. So not a bad decision here to just throw the guy in an open area and set him up, right? Set him up to get yards after the catch. That's easy, right? This is easy, and make it easy on your wide receiver. Make sure that he can catch the ball cleanly on his feet, right? Because if you have a bad throw or he has to leave his feet, or if it's behind him, go to the ground to catch it, you lose an extra 10, 15 yards after the catch. So really good job, right? Easy yards. All right. I want to get the Cleo Mullings play for you, Antoine. I'm trying to get there. Trying to do it.
On this drive. That one goes for 34. Now Corum around the edge. Looking for some space. Bounces off a tackler. Gets inside the 20.
I don't know how this wasn't a face mask. Okay. They don't actually have a good replay angle of showing it. I don't know if they mentioned it on the broadcast either, but this was a huge face mask. The blocking here is pretty good. You're pulling both Drake Nugent and Ladarius Henderson. I like this little, I don't even know what you really call this, pin and pull, I guess technically. It's almost just like a sweep, power sweep, maybe. Is that what you call it? I'm not good with my terminology. All right. I won't ever say that I am. Good reaction from the safety, though, actually. Give a lot of credit for the safety flying down like this, right? I feel like the offensive line do a good enough job getting out on these blocks, at least delaying those guys from flowing to the play. And then, yeah, it's just Blake Corum, right? Blake Corum. But then, yeah, that's a brutal face mask on number 17 right there. You can see a left arm. They showed the replay at the stadium. It was really bad. I don't know how they didn't call that. Really bad face mask. You can even see Ladarius Henderson pointed out immediately, 73. He's going to call that out, right? Face mask right there. He's calling it out. But yeah, this is just a truck from Blake Corum. I feel like you didn't see it until late and then just shucks him off. That's why you get the extra muscle on them bones, right? Where you can do things like that. Brutal. There's a better angle of it as well. So good job from him, right? Give a lot of credit for that safety. That safety came flying down. It's just Blake Corum is a man amongst boys. And then, yeah, we still can't even really see it. I mean, yeah, you can see it right here. He grabs the face mask. I don't know how you don't call that. Don't know how you don't call it. Okay. Is this finally? Yes, this is. I feel like this is the play. No, it isn't.
Looking for the hole. He finds it for the first down.
I don't think we're going to get to this play, man. Oh, my God. All right, this is going to be the last. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. All right. We'll try to let's make it. We'll make it no, this is the last play. I got to get to bed. I'm sorry, Antoine. I'm sorry.
Mullings looking for the hole. He finds it for the first down.
All right, this is Cleo Mullings, right? Cleo Mullings able to make his way through. All right, we're gonna get to the touchdown pass. All right, we're gonna do it, or we're gonna get to the Cleo Mullings block just for you, Antoine. Okay.
Mullings looking for the hole. He finds it for the first down.
All right, Mullings does a really good job. Really, really good job here of finding his way. Nice patient run, right? And he does such a good job of setting up in the same way that I feel like we see Blake Corum do a good job. Antoine, we're going to do it. We're going to make our way there. Good block on the outside here from your tight ends. Barner, I feel like I've been saying this all year. It's just been an excellent blocking tight end. Colson Loveland does a great job here. These two guys. And they form a really good wall. Watch the left side or the right side of this offensive line. Boom. Good block, setting that edge. Right? Really good job here. And then I feel like you could do a little bit better job here from the pull here out of Trevor Keegan, right? Get to one of these guys at least, right? He's kind of shadow boxing here. It's a tough job, though. And he is I give him a lot of credit. He is getting out there. I feel like you do just have to kind of speed up if you are Mullings here because of how aggressive this guy's coming backside. But he does a really good job threatening the outside. Again, make the block easier for your offensive line to know which way that the running back is threatening. And he does a really good job making himself skinny here to cut off the butt of his guard. So really good job maximizing the yardage. Shadyville, good question. Is Mullings the surprise player of the year so far? I think so. I actually thought Ben Hall was going to emerge. And honestly, I really liked what I saw out of Mullings last year, just in spot time. But yeah, I mean, he is really – I loved his running back film out of high school. So I'm not completely surprised. But he's developed into, you could argue, Michigan's second best back this year out of the backfield. And I feel like a good number of people would agree with you. Not in every scenario, but in scenarios like this where it's third down, third and short, he's able to spell Blake Corum and get the maximum amount of yards more often than not. He's a big back, and I'm really happy for him. And remember, he's like a sophomore or maybe still like a freshman in terms of learning the position. So it's going to be really fun to see how he develops because he's huge. He has excellent feet. He has the power of a linebacker and the speed of like a hybrid space player. That's really what he is. He's gonna be a guy. Like he already is a guy, but these instincts, right? These are the things, these little shifts here, the footwork, the threatening to the outside, this cut right here, right? Boom. Little things like that are really going to maximize his effectiveness as a running back. It's going to be really fun to watch him develop. All right, 3 more plays left.
Second and goal. McCarthy keeps looking for his second rushing touchdown of the day. A stiff arm.
Little stiff arm here. Little stiff arm out of Khalil Mullings. Or Khalil Mullings. I'm tired, guys. JJ McCarthy. He's an athlete, right? He's an athlete. And in this game, when you're up 24-10, right, do you really need this from your quarterback? Probably not. But, it's going to show up, right? It's going to show up. Having this sort of athleticism from your quarterback, it's going to prove to be extremely valuable, right? Extremely valuable. Again, the read is just it's tough, right? Because I feel like you're reading an area, you're reading here, right? You're reading the reaction to this run action overall, right? And with that momentum, I feel like you're making a judgment call. Can I beat this guy on the edge? And JJ McCarthy says, yeah, I think I can, right? So was it the right keep? Maybe, right? I feel like this guy probably would have been able to insert himself into the run play. I don't see many holes opening up here. Maybe you could argue right here. But again, I want to focus more just on JJ McCarthy with the little, I don't even know what you call that, little hop, skip, step, little head fake, and then the stiff arm. Dude's an athlete. Dude is an athlete, right? Excellent play, shows off the athleticism, right? This is where sometimes when the defense plays this well, right? 24 plays this about as well as you can expect someone to. Sometimes it's just our guys are better than your guys, right? And that's exactly what this is. You had the same amount of room, right? You had the same amount of space and a good angle on JJ McCarthy. This is just a guy being a dude. And that's frustrating for a team, right? Where Michigan doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They don't do a lot of things wrong. How can you expect to win on defense when you can appropriately react to a play like this, yet your guy will just make a miss, right? Even when you do 99% of things right, the offense can just win with a superior athlete like that, right? Frustrating as hell. That's just JJ McCarthy. All right, 2 more plays. This is a good one on defense. I'm pretty sure you guys know what this one is.
3rd and 14. Elliott Manis feeling the pressure.
You might have thought this was a different one. All right, this is an assist out of Jalen Harrell and just a diving crazy sack out of Mason Graham. So this is fun because Jalen Harrell is actually lined up as a linebacker here. So cool little look, right, where you have 2 edge rushers here, 1 nose tackle with Mason Graham. You're going to have Jalen Harrell shift around here on an edge rush. You're going to, or edge rush, a little blitz up the middle, and then you're going to have a loop out of Mason Graham around that. So Harrell will come around here, engage the center and guard here, right? His operation here is just occupy the guard and center here. Occupy these 2 guys, allow Mason Graham to loop around here, take out the quarterback, right? It's actually not the worst job from this offensive lineman reacting to this and getting a push on Mason Graham. It just happens that with the edge rush here out of Josiah Stewart, this is the only path for Kelly Manis to step up, and the offensive lineman pushes Mason Graham into that path of the quarterback, right? And it turns into a flying sack for Mason Graham. Really nice swim move to get around 66 there. See Mason Graham with a little swim move there. Boom. Work across. Does get pushed off a little bit there, right? But able to get that sack. Just really fun. He ate him, Dylan Kirk says. I thought this was going to be the sad INT. I thought so too for a second. There's too many good defensive plays. Josiah almost got there again. Yes, he almost did. Let's go back and watch Josiah Stewart, number 5, at the bottom of your screen. Yep, he's getting around. I feel like 69 does a good enough job on that one. Does a good enough job. But it works well in concert with this stunt, right? And that's kind of the purpose, right? Because of this stunt, you want number 5 here, Josiah Stewart, to do this edge rush to force the quarterback up, because that's exactly where this stunt is bringing Mason Graham, right? This is designed to bring Mason Graham to the outlet here on this stunt, right? That's part of the design of Josiah Stewart going around the edge like that. And then we have a couple angles here. Here's the behind the quarterback view, which must be crazy. And then rowing the boat, had to include that. Okay. I stayed an extra 13 minutes, Antoine, just for you. All right. Got to be a happy man after this one.
Down to 2. Play action for McCarthy. Steps up, and as he throws, doesn't matter.
All right. This is an excellent call. And I wanted to actually, let me see. I'm going to do some live. Hold on. Let me adjust this real quick. There was something that happened that I wanted to call out here. Give me a sec. Okay. So you see on this little clap, they call him out. They're calling out, hey, it's this guy. This guy's coming, right? JJ McCarthy and Mullings are calling that out. So what that's going to tell him is, hey, you are responsible for shifting to the left here. You can see Drake Nugent look out there. Drake Nugent is listening. He's like, what's going on? JJ McCarthy's like, oh, it's out to the left. So Drake Nugent says, okay, shift left. We're accounting for him. Gets the snap off. Boom, there's the shift, right? Ladarius Henderson is going to shift over here. Boom, boom. Drake Nugent is going to pick this up, right? You have everyone accounted for except for this blitzing linebacker. And that's where Khalil Mullings comes in. And it's so valuable for Khalil Mullings to be here on this play because it's a linebacker, right? And that's a tough job for a Blake Corum to pick up. It's not necessarily, oh shoot, what did I just do? Okay. It's not a tough job necessarily for Khalil Mullings to pick that up, right? Khalil Mullings eats linebackers for breakfast and just demolishes this guy. Look at that block, right? He loads up. Does a really good job. Watch him load up here. He's just absolutely going to wallop that. Really load up. Low guy wins. I bet that guy is still feeling it today. I feel like I feel that hit. Oh, let's listen to that on the broadcast one more time because you can hear that hit come through. Sounded painful.
Brought down a 2. Play action for McCarthy. Steps up and as he throws,
just absolutely pancakes him, right? Without that block, this isn't possible because that's the linebacker right up the gut, right? That gives just enough time here. And Keegan actually gets beat, right? You do get a hit here. I think this is also a roughing the passer call. But you need to do a better job there if you're Keegan. And I don't say that very often, right? Keegan does get beat here. But without that pickup there from Khalil Mullings, this play isn't possible, right? So great job from your running back. And that's going to get him so much more time, right? The ability and the willingness to step up and take on a linebacker like that, that's huge. And then watch the route here out of Colson Loveland, right? He's going to do a little hitch route right here. This is just evil against a linebacker type, right? Little hitch here, turn back, and then go up the sideline here. Really mean route. Good luck to anybody, right? Let alone a linebacker type like number 13 sticking with that, right? There's no shot. No shot. It's automatic. So really good job. Here's even a better angle of the pass protection. Oh, I did call it out in this one of them recognizing, hey, here comes the blitz. He's coming. And then boom, Mullins just absolutely taking him out. So fun to see. Gosh, he's a monster. So fun. Put that on repeat, man. That's how we end the night. We end the night. Let me end the screen grab. Boom, right there. Okay. All right, there's like 3 plays I didn't get to, but I need to get to bed. I got a speed workout in the morning. What I'm going to do, guys, is if you are a member of the board, I will post 3 additional plays on Maize and Blue Review inside the den. I'll break down a couple more plays for those. So hop on over there and I'll talk more analysis. Beyond that, thank you guys. This is a long one. I think longest of the year. Over two hours. All right. Over 2 hours. That was really fun. And got through most of the game. So that's cool as well. But I mean, Michigan continues to put together good performance after good performance, right? They keep doing it. And there still feels like there's more meat on the bone. Can still improve with Donovan Edwards. I feel like Blake Corum can still improve, right? Wide receivers, right? A couple third down drops in this game where you win 52-10, right? So there are still things that Michigan can improve upon, right? And they're still winning these games extremely comfortably. So these are the things where this isn't the peak of the team. You've seen them continue to get better on the offensive line with Henderson getting more familiar and gelling as a unit. Defensive backs are continuing to get more healthy. So that's the thing that's most fun is that there are still things to improve upon and they're demolishing teams. Of course, Nebraska, Rutgers, Minnesota, at this point, these are middle to below average Big Ten teams, but you're still absolutely boat racing them, right? Still absolutely demolishing them. So it's really fun. So yeah, check us out over on maizenbluereview.com, michigan.rivals.com. Either one will get you there. Check me out on Twitter at Steven Toski. Again, 3 additional plays or so coming on the den. I'll probably post those tomorrow later in the day after work. And yeah, I appreciate all you guys for your comments. Throw a like, subscription to the channel really helps. Shows the support. And I appreciate all of you chipping in here and adding your commentary. It would be a lonely night without you guys pitching in. So I appreciate your presence and your comments. It means a lot to me. It really does. And yeah, I will not be back for part 2 because we covered 99% of the game. So yeah, I'm going to the Indiana game this weekend. This will be 3 games in a row I'll be going to. I'm going to be tired. But okay. Bedtime. Appreciate all you guys. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Go Blue.